Don't drink that. You'll get pregnant.
Oh, I'm not going to drink it, and I'm definitely not going to get pregnant either.
If you drink that, I can't even kiss you after I drink that. It'll make you pregnant.
The highway from one end to the other doesn't connect.
What's in there?
Male.
You don't even need to think about it.
Bull sperm.
You don't even need to.
I take a multivitamin that makes your
piss stink. You take expensive piss pills, is what you're taking.
No. So it's designed to make the volume of your semen more, but it's just an everyday multivitamin, and so I take it for that. But it becomes a hassle after a while.
Have you noticed that it works?
A little bit, but I always thought that I was a little bit lower end anyways, and then it didn't go much higher. But there's people, like, I'll send you the link to it. There's reviews that are like, oh my god, it's like I need a bucket. And
I've seen them on YouTube. Is it Umzu? Is the company?
No, it's Gorilla Mind.
Yeah, this is Gorilla Mind here.
Oh, is it?
So that's more plates, more dates.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I like that dude.
Me too. And I mean, the fact that they developed that, and it's just like lysine and stuff like that you need anyways. So I was like, I'm gonna. My
goal is to get to the point where he does a natty or not video on me.
We should do it. We should.
I think that's highly possible. Yeah. Your blood work came out all green checks. You're so fucking natty. Well, what does yours look like? Well, mine says elevated enzyme, liver function, high blood pressure, thickening of the blood.
Yeah.
Trembolone. That's what mine says. If I could get a peptide for Trembolone, I would use that.
I don't know.
Trembolone was originally it came from Finaplex, which was originally they were taking from raw grow, which was pellets they would put up cows' assholes. And the bodybuilders would take that and they would cook it into like a syrup and draw that off.
Yeah.
And then they would, I'm pretty sure, I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure they injected that stuff.
So I never knew, like I couldn't tell you anything that I've seen because I wasn't into it when I was like playing sports and stuff. But there was always little vials with bulls on them, like a cow head. So I'm assuming that's what that was.
So a lot of those pharmaceuticals, anabolics, right?
Yeah.
There's a human version, but then there's also a veterinary version. And a lot of guys would get the veterinary version, especially if you live next to Mexico, right? Like Decapoy is a veterinary version of Decadurabolin. Okay. I think that's what it was. There's a lot of them. Like Winstrol was a horse injectable.
Yeah.
And then guys use it. It hardens you up. It dries you out a lot, though. You have... get joint problems, tendon dryness and stuff with it.
Yeah, see, when I never really took much because it didn't interest me, but everybody was always like, it's gonna make you pass out from dehydration and shrink your balls. Like that was the huge concern.
Well, that's what the doctors all tell you.
Yeah.
Your doctors will currently tell you that.
Really? I didn't.
You'll still hear that, man. It's a money thing, right? One of the most profitable things in a medical clinic is Botox, and then testosterone replacement therapy is also profitable.
Yeah.
Especially in the manner that, for instance, Tennessee here. If your doctor is in Tennessee and prescribes testosterone for you, you cannot take possession of the testosterone. You yourself will go to the pharmacy, but then you have to give it to your doctor. And every week when you get your shot, and every week is not enough. You need to, if you're going to do it once a week, break that into at least twice a week, preferably 3 smaller doses, because they're never going to give you the dose that you could take, right?
Yeah.
They're going to creep you up and do all this bullshit and drag it out, which is fine for the first 6 months, whatever, right? Let's get some real blood work and see what's really happening.
Yeah.
But most of those guys doing that, the doctors, they don't do the proper blood work anyways. They don't have any idea what free testosterone is as opposed to overall testosterone. They're not looking at all the panels and stuff. But you have to go back to the doctor every time and pay a doctor's visit and sit there for an hour to get your shot. Whereas if you're in Tennessee, it is perfectly legal to have a doctor go to a clinic in Kentucky, right across the border, and they will FedEx that to your house, and now you can legally have it and administer it yourself. Yep. It's absolutely insane, the workarounds, how these states have gotten in bed with these fucking lobbyists and stuff.
Especially in Tennessee, because, we came out here specifically for the more freedom.
For the freedom part, right.
But there we find some odd
There's
stuff.
Weird things. Yeah, Bible Belt shit.
Exactly. It's all Bible Belt stuff.
Yeah, okay, what'd you find out about Finaplex?
So I'm not finding a peptide like a precursor or anything like that?
See, they've separated. They don't like. They hate it when I say the word steroids, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the bad, evil, dry your balls up, give you heart attack stuff. But testosterone. Oh no. That's testosterone. That's TRT. That's not steroids. So anabolics is what they call it now. It's anabolic steroids, right? When I go in and I'm like, hey, I want decadurabolin, and they're like, I can't prescribe it to you. You can get it from these other clinics, but we can't do it. And they'll, and they know why I want it, because it hydrates the joints, aids in repair, and it basically masks the pain. Like if you're having joint issues, you will not feel those joint issues. So you'll feel good and you'll lift heavier and you'll do a lot more damage, for sure. But you just go light while you're using it. So the Canadian military, when you have a joint problem, the first thing Canada military does is give you decadurabolin. We've got buddies that have been in the building here, and they're like, yeah, we get deca in the military. They just give it to us when we have a problem. But
so what's the, why are they not wanting to prescribe it? It's not like it's
true answer?
Yeah.
Because it works. And it's not expensive.
Oh yeah.
So think about it, right? Okay, so everything's for your better interest. When has your government done fucking anything for your better interest? If it was for your better interest, would they come in with SWAT teams and round up soccer moms for buying unpasteurized milk?
Yeah.
Right? Show me the person that has died. Let's do a comparison between unpasteurized or raw milk, right? Compared to chicken McNuggets. Like let's see a 5-year, 10-year, 20-year history on McDonald's versus unpasteurized milk. But the real answer is because it's inexpensive, and it can actually help you, and now you don't need all these pharmaceuticals. It all went away. I believe it was in the 50s when Vanderbilt kind of took over medical education, and everything went pharmaceutical instead of holistic. Why do they make chiropractic? So why are all your healers chiropractors instead of doctors, right?
Yeah.
Because they can get in and practice, have a license, because the government makes you have a license. If I just have people coming to my house and I'm like, hey, this will help you and this will help you and they'll come in and swat you, and you don't have license, you don't have permits, you're practicing without any kind. So the lesser, and I could be wrong on this, but I believe you don't have to go to full-blown medical school to be a chiropractor. But it is oftentimes chiropractors who are talking about self-healing and things that you can take that grow from the earth, right? Herbs and medicinals and stuff like that. Whereas when you go see a doctor, they give you one medication. And Dr. Barry even got on, and Jack Spirko had asked him on the show, Survival Podcast. If you guys don't know what that is, check it out.
Survivalpodcast.com.
And Doc Barry said, here's the real answer. It's all pharmaceutical based, and we don't really make money until we prescribe 3. We need to prescribe in each visit. We need you on 3 medications because it's a sliding scale. And when we prescribe 3, I make more money on the 3rd than the first 2. So it's always, we're going to give you this, this, and this, and then you need these other things to keep these other ones from making your butthole fall out. Like, and really, if you chase it down to the rawest form, it's because that stuff works, right? So it was pro-hormones. They were around for 10, 15 years. Pro-hormones worked. They caused secretagogues in your body. Some of them actually had steroids in them. That's why some of them worked. And then you came out with SARMs. I got $100,000 worth of SARMs sitting in the building right now. When they started cutting down on SARMs, right, they started going after dudes. A lot of people had inventory. It was illegal to sell SARMs.
Yeah, I remember that. Like,
so we were selling SARMs, right? We were selling them, blowing them out as fast as we could get them. Same with all of our pre-workouts, our supplements, Run Everything Labs. I'd get $5,000 to Run Everything Labs in, and we'd sell it that night.
Yep.
Like immediately. So we were selling Swinney nutrition stuff. I sold Swinney stuff until we had issues getting it, and Justin was kind of doing other things. Kind of, I don't know if he lost interest or what he was really doing. But when I couldn't get Swinney any longer, I talked to Rob, and I'm like, hey, can I sell your stuff? And we brought it in, and he had a bigger product line, right? So it was very easy to move that, make money on it. And basically when I started doing it, I just wanted to cover my costs on it. So
because we're using it.
Yeah.
And so when there started being talk of banning SARMs, a lot of dudes were sitting on inventory. I'm like, well, I'll buy it, and I just won't sell it. I'll just have it for personal use. I'll just buy it. I have fucking 20-gallon Rubbermaid containers full of SARMs in there, right? They work. Now, MK776 is secretagogue.
677
Secretagogue for a growth hormone, right?
makes you hungry.
Makes you hungry. That makes you very hungry. So you can bulk, you can add on size easily with that. Doing that, you would want to watch where those calories are coming from.
Yeah.
But it also, because it causes if you are predisposed for growths within your body, cancer, for instance, it can amplify that. So you want to do some real tests, right? And typically people doing SARMs were not doing any real testing. They were not going to life extension doctors. They weren't looking at all their levels and stuff. So they banned those. Well, now it's peptides, right? So everything you buy peptide-wise is sold as laboratory experiment or veterinary experiment.
Yeah.
But there's real dudes out there. I mean, there are hundreds of these guys out there that just break the Huberman talks about them.
Yep.
Rogan talks about it. I mean, all these dudes who have actual doctors and pharmacists and chemists on there, and the shit works. They will eventually ban that as well.
Yeah.
But
so currently,
and your doctor can prescribe SARMs.
Well, currently, the only SARMs that the only peptides that you can.
I'm sorry, strike that, not SARMs, peptides.
The only peptides that are legal for human use are the ones that you get as a prescription from your doctor. Now, you can buy literally every kind of peptide on the internet for research only. It's not for human consumption. So you can go about it in two ways. You can go through your doctor, who's going to give you very specific instructions. They're going to tell you the ups, the downs, the hows, the whys, all that stuff.
Plus, you're gonna know where that laboratory is.
Or you can get it off of a random website.
The laboratory is in San Diego, compounding pharmacy. You can trust what you're getting.
Yes.
All the other peptides, they all seem to, for some reason, be based in one city in Florida. And who knows where the fuck that stuff is. I picture it as like a wet food market, right? The cobras, they cut the cobra heads off, but it's still slithering around, and there's a pile of some powder, and who knows what that powder is. That's probably your peptides.
It really makes me think of the videos that were coming out during COVID.
Yeah,
and
the
it's
wet
all
markets.
All the people sewing masks in the dirt floor with their bare feet and all that.
Yeah.
That's what it makes me think
Got
of.
it. Okay.
There was for a while, a lot of like UFC fighters were like, "Oh, I was taking GNC supplements, and it had all this other shit in it."
No, they weren't.
You know,
They were taking
I know that people are taking other things, but I wouldn't put it past a company like GNC to have.
So back in the day, pre-SARMs, pre-pro hormone, probably pro hormone, a lot of it had anabolics in it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why these things were working. If you have a product that seems to be working, the government is going to come in and penalize you and slam you, and that's the deal with it, right? So if you want it, it's available. The government is not doing anything that is to your benefit, while some things they do might benefit you, but it's more that if you're a fucking pussy, right? You're not just going to do your own research. The government's interest is to keep you neutered. They do not want you working at full capacity, because people with high testosterone levels, people at full capacity, people that optimize sleep, people that are utilizing their energy 90%. I like to say it's like and a lot of people, some people listening to this probably can't even relate to this. We used to have these big flashlights called mag lights, right? Giant fucking mag light, D-cell, they're a big tube of aluminum, and you'd have these normal Duracell or whatever batteries in there. And you'd run it, and after you run it, about 30% it starts to go down. At 50% it's really noticeable, and you usually put batteries in there, and it just tapers down until it doesn't work anymore. But a Surefire battery, like a 123, right, a lithium battery, runs 90%, falls dead. And that's how I want to run. I want to run fucking 90% and fall dead, right? I don't want to have to sleep 10, 12, 20 hours. I want to sleep 4 hours, 6 hours, whatever. Now, there's some math out there that says if you run like that, you literally have so many hours in your life.
Yep.
So if you are not sleeping, when you sleep, it slows that time clock down. So if you optimize, right, you might not live till 85. You might die at 70. I would rather die at 7 now, and I'm closer to 70 than I've ever been. But I still feel like I would rather die at 70 and have utilized every fucking minute of my younger life. So, and that's what a lot of that stuff is. So they sell that. The government said this, you know. That's why you have so many of these people making these natty or not videos. I think they're hilarious, a lot of them, on both sides of it, right? What do you give a shit what a dude's doing? It's because they're jealous. It's because they are not willing to do. You can kind of get the same thing, but you cannot eat McDonald's and Frappuccinos and achieve that.
Well, and
unless you're willing to. And that's the thing, like somebody asked about fat loss on the back page yesterday on our closed group.
Oh,
and Amanda answered, and somebody else was like, no, you have to weigh everything. You got to do all these things. Correct, right? That is one there. The thing is, you have 10 people that answered, and you can get there 10 different ways. It's which one are you willing to do? Now, this dude who said he's drinking Frappuccinos and coffees, drinks and stuff, right? What you don't realize is, you can see it, right? When I used to go to Starbucks during the morning or day, you'd see this chick that looks like she's been at the gym because she put on gym clothes and went to the gym for a minute. Yeah. I worked out so hard and I burned 200 calories. Well, she just got a 1,200 calorie milkshake, right? Yeah. A Frappuccino is 1,200 calories.
I mean,
at least.
I was going to say at least because it really is a milkshake.
Not just the calories, not to mention the shit that is in that thing. Like there's no coffee in a Frappuccino. No. I mean, there might be at Starbucks a little bit, but you just fucking ate 3 sticks of butter and carbohydrates,
without
right?
any of the benefits of the fucking butter.
Your body can run on fat, but if you add carbohydrates to the fat, it stores the fat, and you get all these people doing dirty keto. No, motherfucker, you're not. You're fooling yourself. Mm-hmm. You're eating high fat and protein, but that amount of carbs in there, you're getting fatter.
I always like it when people say your body needs sugar. You have to give it sugar. No, it doesn't. It creates.
That's your government. Your government sold that.
Your liver will create the sugar.
Exactly.
Your government sold that idea to you through the sugar cane industry, right? And then sugar beets, right? What people don't realize is we're fine with outsourcing slavery, right? As long as we don't have to see it. And the truth is, most people would probably be fine with it even if they did have to see it. It's just this social, the stigma of it, right? And just like everything else, right? We're fine with open pit lithium mines. As long as it's not here, right? As long as I don't wake up in the morning and see the cloud or smell it, I don't care. We outsource our safety, we outsource our security, we outsource all of that shit somewhere else. And while they're selling you the beauty of we don't have to do sugar cane, right? We can do sugar beets. Those colonies were still all over the fucking world using slave labor, literally penal colony slave labor. The ruins are still there. And slavery is still happening all around the world. Mm-hmm. And they're fine with it as long as they don't have to see it.
I want to take a little side detour here. In my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I think instead of putting people in prisons and just leaving them there for 20 years, I think they should have to work and be productive.
Yes. I think so. On the other hand, the reason those laws exist is because they were taking people that they disagreed with and put them in prison and use them as slave labor. Right. So that's where you have all the fair wage bullshit come up. But all these prisons are privatized.
Yes.
So privatized prisons function under a different set of regulations.
A lot of them have their own zip codes.
Than normal. Yeah. They have so they can take, if we need to change voting, if we need to change the voting laws, or we need to change the demographics, we can set up several prisons within that zone, fill them up with people, and then the politicians start talking about prison reform. So these, people in prison vote now. So they vote for these politicians, so they will vote Democrat because that's the talking point and hope that they get out early. And they do that, right? So it's everything that you see that the government does. It's never in your interest. And while they spin it as though it's in your interest, if you unravel it, it is very much not in your interest. It is about keeping people slaves, keeping people non-performance, keeping people not thinking for themselves. They need you dumbed down and worried about what's on television or what's on the news and fighting amongst yourselves. Look how many people in industries, any industry really, especially I know about ours because we're in our industry, right? Yeah. But we don't have to fight with Democrats about gun control. The gun guys are fighting with you can't have this, who polices each other more than anybody else? Yeah. I mean, go try to sell some fucking eggs, go try to sell some chicken, it ain't going to be the government that finds you and comes after you. It's going to be somebody you know that tells on you. Always. People do that. The Nazis were great about getting people to tell on each other.
Yeah, I mean, they had Jewish people working for them.
George Soros is a Jewish person.
Yeah.
He reported on all of his neighbors and family members, and the Nazis took them away. That's George Soros, right? Number 2 of World Economic Forum.
Isn't he one of the richest men in the world?
I don't know.
When you get to, people talk about like Elon and all that stuff. That's somebody who has publicly traded companies. We don't know the real people who have all the money.
Right.
There's somebody in Dubai that has way more money than Soros. Everybody always talks about Putin. Nobody knows how much he has, but he has all the money of Russia at his disposal.
What you need to watch, the thing you need to look at right now, right? So we had eugenics, okay, and eugenics, and then you had the Nazis, right, who praised the United States on their forward thinking of eugenics. So much so that the guy that worked for, I believe it was Woodrow Wilson, even the advisor that Woodrow Wilson signed his bill into effect for eugenics in the United States. That dude went to Germany as a Jew and worked for the Nazis on their program. He was instrumental in pioneering what the Germans put into effect. They called it racial hygiene. Then eugenics becomes a bad word, right? After we liberate the Jewish camps, right? That's not what we were there for. That's how they sold it to the U.S. people, right? Our government was complacent. They knew that was happening. IBM sold the machines that were at every camp. There was a 10,000-foot building at every camp that had an international business machine in there. The ovens, when they first started incinerating the bodies of the Jews, they couldn't do it fast enough. They made bigger ovens. Those came from Ohio. They wanted Coca-Cola. Finally, the government shut that off, so they built Fanta. That was from Coca-Cola. Our president went over there over 24 different times during the war. Like, they knew what was going on. They were complacent in it. The metal that the bombers that bombed Pearl Harbor, we sold them the metal during wartime that built those airplanes. Everybody knew. It is never for you. We have this idea that there are these borders, right? And the borders only apply for us. They don't apply for those people. During COVID, when you couldn't fly or you couldn't take a cruise ship, none of that applied to private aircraft and to private ships. You saw them all over there, hundreds of them out there. They're giant mega yachts, right? They talk about they need to lock you down and you're using too much emissions, right? But they just flew fucking 500 jets. And most of those dudes with that kind of money, they fly 2 jets. Yeah. They fly a pre-runner jet to see where turbulence is, so they fly a different way. And most of those motorcades and shit, they run 2 separate motorcades and extra aircraft in case somebody shoots one of those planes down.
Oh, yeah.
So, but they're worried about our emissions, right? Because
they're worried about your gas stove.
It's not about emissions. It's about control. That's what it's about. So the new word, so eugenics became a bad household word, so it got rebranded. Do you know what they call it? Do you know what it rebranded to? It's Planned Parenthood.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, birth control.
So Planned Parenthood, literally word for word, their charter is the mission statement of eugenics. Eugenics, the government had eugenics offices all across the United States, especially like through the South, where there were undesirables. That's what they called them, right? So they sold it to the population as, if you have a genetic birth defect, we're going to not let those people breed. We're going to sterilize them. If you're a criminal, clearly there's something wrong with you. We're not going to let you breed. And then it went into black folks. It went into mental retardations, but they were doing it with just all kinds of birth defects and stuff. They just sterilized all kinds of people. So what you need to know now, the key word that you guys might not be aware of, it's transhumanism. And that's what eugenics, it is eugenics. It is transhumanism. And Elon Musk, who's everybody's superhero, he's all about it. He's building the chip to interface with your brain.
He's probably a robot.
What you guys might not know,
There's something wrong with him.
What you guys might not know is 90% of all the monkeys that they chipped died.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's any alive today. At what rate did they die? We don't know that research. Maybe it's there. A lot of these things are public knowledge, well, they're not public knowledge. They are public information, but nobody cares to look them up because we're so busy worried about what the Kardashians said.
Yeah, well, it's as simple as people who don't like hunting will still go buy a steak.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, they don't, as long as it's not in their face, they're fine with it.
Right.
Yeah, and then you're vegans, right? If you really want to see death of animals, I mean, look at fucking vegans.
Yeah.
Where do you think that shit comes from?
Yeah, I mean, just in a turbine, you know, with a field of wheat, you're killing so many things.
In a field of anything.
Yeah.
In a field of anything that's mass planted. All right, I guess we should probably get...
So I was going to speak on, I saw they were saying the whole Andrew Tate thing was a distraction because at the same time Andrew Tate was arrested was when the information came out that J.P. Morgan
Yes.
was funding
Epstein
the
Island.
Epstein Island.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that,
J.P. Morgan, which is like one of the largest banks in the world.
well, who told you that years ago? Who came out years ago and said that?
The gay frog guy.
Alex Jones?
That one.
Alex Jones.
He said that they were funding it or that they're the biggest.
Complacent
That
in
they
it and
were-
funding
they
it,
were-
allowing
they
it to
were
happen. They were maneuvering
involved.
all his money through there, and they were letting it to happen. Everybody knew it. And I mean, everybody came out and said, yeah, we knew. Congresswomen. Hillary Clinton said, yes, we knew this.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, everybody knew.
What I like, this is a very controversial statement, but I believe it. He's never been proven wrong about stuff. Alex Jones.
Alex Jones? No.
That's not controversial. They just want you to believe that. They put that out there and say that.
Yeah.
The media says that. It's not it's all been so to prove that point, the US District Attorney filed lawsuits against JP Morgan,
Yeah.
and the next day Biden shows up in the Caribbean in the islands and relieves her of duty.
Yes.
So, of course that fucking happened.
Yeah.
All right, I guess we should probably start episode 25, question and answer members podcast. If you like this conversation we just had, leave us some notes. Maybe we'll break something off and do something a little different on the conspiracy facts.
We really enjoy talking about these things.
I sent you that video last night. It's an hour long. You should really watch it.
Which one was it?
It's Glenn Beck.
Oh, yeah. I started that one.
So she has published, I don't remember her name. I've seen her several places. She has a weird voice. But she has published 2 volumes on Epstein, and there's a lot of stuff in there tying, a ton of it is Epstein's involvement with the Clintons.
Yeah.
And the progression and how he was able to do these things, right? Because it got busted out prior.
Oh, yeah.
With Weinstein and all those people. Also, look at Jamie Lee Curtis, right? She
Holy
just posted
shit.
some shit.
Yeah.
It has to be intentional. Like,
It has to be.
whose radar is Jamie Lee Curtis on? Fucking no
Nobody.
one. Nobody. Liberal cunt came out, said some shit like, I had no idea her views. I didn't need to know, but now that I know, I won't watch any of her videos.
Yeah.
Fuck her.
I was thinking about that today. Not about her specifically, but in my mind is the Steven Crowder thing where they're fighting over like production.
I think it's
companies.
staged.
I think so too. But then that got me thinking about like what I would really like to do is start a production company that didn't have politics in it. We don't need to know an actor's politics. You
Right.
know?
It's always going to turn that way because politics is culture now.
Yeah.
And that's how you're going to win things, right? It's impossible not to have it. If you
Yeah.
don't, you're not involved in the real world. Because think about it, okay? You're going to start some video production company. You're going to make movies. About what? They're not going to have guns in them?
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. Like, you're automatically being shoehorned into taking a side if you're going to tell a story about anything.
You live in a world right now where you have to take, that's the problem.
Yeah.
People have not taken sides. And the people that are on that side, they remain silent because they want to be looked at, they want to be accepted. Whereas if most of the public, if 1% of the population said, we're not paying these traffic tickets. No, we'll take this to court. 1%. If 1% of the people today that got a traffic ticket across the United States took it to court, it would shut the court systems down. It would take years to get 1%. And that's why you're in this position, because nobody said, no, we're not going to fucking do that. But I think you're very close to people saying that. So close, in fact, that how do we communicate now, right? We don't speak face to face. We don't talk on the phone, right? There's no newsprint. It's all digital. And now they can control it. And that's why they're controlling it, because they are very fucking close to being pulled from their castles and fucking hung in the streets. It's coming.
Yeah.
And they try to control that. And there are people that do, people are complacent and lazy, right? Even though that's what needs to happen, it will affect them, and they just want to get up and go to work and play soccer on the weekend and get Starbucks. That's what they want to do, right? They don't want that to happen, so they try to just conform.
Yeah, and it's like, it's out of sight, out of mind. Like,
yes.
We both, I mean, you guys were in California a while ago, but it's still the same thing. Those guys have no clue what's going on except for what CNN tells them, and that's only when they choose to watch.
Some of them know what's going on, but I mean, the outdoor industry has been co-opted by the liberals, or maybe not. I mean, you don't have Boy Scouts anymore teaching male values, right? They're not teaching strength, not like they used to. It's just not there, right? So where do you get this from? So there's not shooting ranges, there's not gun clubs. You can't just drive out in the desert anymore. It's just not there. It takes hours to travel, right? When you come here, you can literally pull off. I can see 10 guys. If I drove to town, I can see 10 places where people shoot right on the side of the road.
Yeah.
It's different there. While they are still there, fewer and fewer, right? Because they are moving. I mean, how many U-Haul and Ryder trucks came out of California?
Yeah,
all of them.
It's more expensive to rent if you're leaving California.
Of course.
And it's more expensive to fly out of California.
Because they have no fleet there.
Yeah.
So if you want to rent a Ryder truck right now and you're going to go one way to California, $1,000. You want to come out of California? $7,000 to $10,000.
Yeah, exactly.
You can buy a trailer cheaper. There was points where you couldn't even buy a trailer in California. They weren't there. Guys were literally driving to Las Vegas and renting a van and not disclosing what they're doing with it. Going to California, moving their shit. Hey, Ryder truck, your van is in,
Some
Tennessee,
state.
Kentucky, wherever. So.
Trying to tear us down,